Hello, everyone, and welcome to ROKStudios. I'm Stan Miller. I'm PR and Analyst Relations Manager for Rockwell Automation in the EMEA region, and I'm joined today by Andrew Ellis. Andrew is President of Global Portfolio Engineering at Rockwell Automation. Andrew, welcome to the studio.
Fantastic, Stan. Great to be here.
So, Andrew, we're here today to talk a little bit about co-innovating the next generation of smart machines. This is a great topic, and I'm excited to explore it with you. So, my first question for you, clearly you work very closely with industrial clients across regions, across industries. What's changing in how machine builders and manufacturers are collaborating today compared to, let's say, just a few years ago?
Yeah, really good question. I think the change is inevitable. Change is everywhere. It happens all the time. You just have to watch the news. There's lots of change happening. But I think for manufacturers and OEMs, they are no longer just needing to build a machine to spec or for performance or ease of operation. They got so many other characteristics they have to consider. For example, sustainability. They need to build a machine that is sustainable in their manufacturing facility. They need to consider when they build the machine and run it, is it energy efficient? If it's a packing machine, is the byproduct or outputs sustainable? So these are considerations they have to take. Two, you can't get away from security. So not just the security, physical security of the machine or on the network, but cybersecurity. CRA is a regulation that will affect everybody, and they need to start thinking about it now, if not a year ago. Safety, always a concern for any machine builder. So safety not only for people, but for the asset. And you may not think of it, but fourth, workforce. That's a big topic today for everyone. Where will I find, how do I replace the people who are helping me design the machine today to maintain it and operate it? How will the end user who's going to take that machine, where are they going to find the people who understand the technology? So workforce is a huge challenge for everyone that we need to be thinking about. And then finally, fifth, and look, I'm sure there's many others, and we can't get away from it, but how do they adopt artificial intelligence into everything they do, into their own operation, so how they design and manufacture machines, but also how do they put it into the applications they're using so that when they deliver it to an end user, it has AI already embedded. So when we ask, like, what's changed for OEMs, those are skill sets that may not be in their domain today. So they're looking for partners like Rockwell Automation to fill those gaps, and we can bring in our domain expertise and industry knowledge.
It's remarkable to see it in action, too. You've unpacked a lot there. Let's dive a little bit deeper. Why are leading OEMs moving earlier in the design process to work directly with end users? And what advantages does that create for both sides of the equation?
Yeah, I think to start, OEMs and end users or any manufacturer is trying to improve their speed to market. So they want that new cookie, that new car, they want it sooner. And they're realizing for OEMs, if they can participate sooner in that design cycle with their end user, they can better understand requirements, their use cases, the challenges, and start to provide solutions earlier in the design cycle to maybe root out issues that could happen later. Now, if you kind of add Rockwell Automation to that trifecta, you've got the machine builder who understands the machine. You've got the end user who knows what they're trying to do. And now you bring in Rockwell Automation, who we understand industry, but more importantly, the application of our technology to solve this problem. This is a significant advantage.
I love it when we're talking ecosystem approach
Yeah,
because it's that force multiplier that really
totally.
drives outcomes.
Yeah.
Andrew, how does co-innovation help reduce the reliance on those rare skills? You were talking about people earlier, those rare skills, and create more consistent machine performance across different customers and environments?
A good question. I think we got to address how do they become more what do you say, reliant? No, not consistent. That they trust their design better. So when we first talk about co-innovation, really what that is where typically two or more partners get together or organizations get together to drive towards a common goal. building machine, whatever it may be. But they're doing that, and they have their roles and responsibilities. So typically, an OEM would come to us and say, "Hey, we're really good at machine design, fabrication, the automation side of it, implementation, maintenance, and so forth." And we bring our industry expertise, our domain expertise of understanding how our technology can apply and solve their problems. And with highly skilled people being a scarce resource, this is a real opportunity and advantage for the OEM to take advantage of what we know and bring it together. So overall, this is a strategic advantage for partners, and we want to participate.
Love it. Andrew, what role does hands-on validation and simulation play in helping industrial firms move faster and make more confident technology decisions?
Yeah, two things there, if I unpack. When we say simulation, we really mean developing either a digital twin or a hybrid twin, which is a digital representation of the physical machine, right? And it's not only used for design, we think of that, and even earlier in the sales cycle, we're seeing more and more digital twins being used in the sales cycle, but it can be used for automation development, for operator training. We can use it for virtual commissioning, and even analytics once it's deployed at an end user, um, comparing the digital twin to the physical machine, and are there any differences? So that's the simulation. When we think of hands-on validation, this is a secret sauce for us, I believe, as this is where an OEM has an opportunity to come visit one of our facilities. We just recently opened up the Bologna Customer Experience Center in Italy, where the OEM can come with their ideas, their concepts, and try it out on our machines, on our equipment, right alongside our domain experts I'll say, in a safe and learning environment. So those two things, the simulation and the hands-on, really start to reduce risk for the OEM, such they feel far more confident in their machine design.
It's a great point. And having been to the Bologna Center myself, I have to say, as impressive as the technology is on site, the team behind it as well, and those collaborative discussions and planning, I think it really brings to life what you're talking about.
100%.
So, Andrew, last question. Looking ahead, how do these deeper partnerships position OEMs to stay competitive as machines become more autonomous and software driven?
And I hope you don't mind, I'm going to add one bit to my previous answer because I was thinking about it. I just thought of it now. It's like because you mentioned the people. I think the GOTCs are core for us as the experts in the application of our technology. And working with the OEMs really drives three outputs. The first is I think the OEM gets a better machine. There's no doubt about that. Second, we get to work with the OEM and really build that relationship up and understand how we work together better. And for some GOTCs and our OEMs experts, these are career lasting relationships, which is fantastic. And third, it is an opportunity for us to provide feedback to our own business units to say, hey, we've been working with these OEMs. We found a better way. Can we put that back into the roadmap so we can continually improve our equipment? Okay, so that was, yeah, added to the previous. Sorry, I
And
wanted to
it's a
add
good
that.
point. I mean, the door swings both ways in that collaboration. Great
Yeah,
point.
yeah.
Yeah.
Do you don't mind asking that other question again, if you don't mind?
Happy to. So, as we look forward, I mean, in these deeper partnerships, right? How do these deeper partnerships position OEMs to stay competitive as their machines become more autonomous and software driven?
Yeah, I think all OEMs, and I'll say manufacturers in general, will continue to adopt technology. They may adopt it at their own rates. There's no doubt about that. But we're in a world of um, adopt or be left behind. So you must adopt technology. There's no doubt about that. For OEMs, we talked about before, they've got a list of things that may not be in their skill set. So they are looking to partner with systems integrators, Rockwell Automation, where we can start to bring in our domain expertise, industry knowledge, application experts, they will get access to a community of people that they may not have had access to before. And what that really provides you is a more diverse set of solutions that they can now start to consider. So this ultimately partnering is a strategic advantage to the OEM, whereas those that go it alone, I think, will have a challenge.
Andrew, as always, great perspective. Thank you for sharing your insights, and thank you for joining us in the studio today.
Thank you very much, Dan.
And thank you for watching. If you'd like to learn more about industrial automation and digital transformation, visit rockwellautomation.com.